Today's episode is brought to you by AOS Kitchens, the South's leading outdoor kitchen design and installation specialists.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meet and Greet Barbecue Podcast. Today we're talking to Lily Bond from Spyce Girlz and a fantastic story about how a 13-year-old decided to make a rub company and how over many years how that's grown and what it's become today with over 10 rubs and seasonings. But Lily's going to talk us through all of that in a second. So without much further ado, here's Lily. Hello, Lily. For anyone who's listening, please do introduce yourself and tell everyone what they need to know about you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Bond. I'm from Canada. I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, the capital of Canada. And I make low-sodium spice blends. My company is called Spyce Girlz Seasonings, Spice the Y, Girls with the Z. I started my business when I was 13 years old at farmers markets, just selling taco seasoning. And then people were loving it. They were using it on everything. So we wanted to create more versatile spice blends. So the line expanded to now 10 blends that we're selling on working across Canada. We're selling to I love food and I wanted some better option than this really, really salty spice blends that you found in grocery stores.
13. Where do you even start there? I mean, at the age of 13, I was thinking mainly about kicking footballs around in sport, you know? How did you even get onto that at 13?
Yeah. Well, I was going into high school at the time and I wanted to buy a laptop and I couldn't legally work. So I thought, okay, well, I could start my own business. I could create my own job. And when I was figuring out what to start, I was going through different things and I was walking around the grocery store and I'm like, what's missing here? And I saw that the spice aisle was always really boring. And there wasn't anything that was really all that great, especially the taco seasoning that my mom and I were using when we were cooking at home was, I don't know if you guys in the UK have Old El Paso taco seasoning.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Old El Paso. So it was just, it was full of a lot of ingredients that I really felt weren't necessary and way too salty. So there wasn't a better version. So I created it.
I mean, my daughter's just about to turn 12 and she's just doesn't have that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. It's quite amazing that you've just thought, yeah, I'm going to just start my own business and
I was
gone
definitely
straight into it.
My mom's an entrepreneur, so it was kind of an option that I already saw out there because if you don't grow up in a family with it, it doesn't, I mean, some people it does come to them, but watching my mom do that all my life, I was like, okay, well, this is something that I could do as well.
And how did the actual process start? So obviously you've identified that you wanted to start a business. Like you said, you've gone to the grocery store, you've seen the stuff that shouldn't be used because of all the preservatives, etc., that you were saying. Yeah. So how did you get going? Right. How do I make my own? How do I make it better? What's that process?
So this will be interesting for you. So it was a month of eating ground beef, basically.
We love beef.
I had a basic taco seasoning recipe that we would use if we didn't want Old El Paso, but there was definitely some improvements that could have been made. Turns out there was a lot of them because it took us so long. And to really, really find like the perfect balance of spices. And then it was kind of through that process as well of having so much ground beef that we were so tired of it. And we were like, we have to put this on something else, was when I realized that one of the value propositions or really selling products of my taco seasoning was how versatile it was, right? Because we started putting it on dips. We started putting it on corn on the cob. We started putting it on roasted cauliflower, started putting it on different meats. We really realized it's just a multi-purpose spice blend, right? Not just a taco seasoning. So that was a lot of fun to do. I always love developing new spice blends because it requires a lot of cooking, a lot of trying, and we get other people involved as well. So my neighbors are really into they're big foodies as well. So they love getting involved. I'll just run over next door. I'm like, hey, try the new steak spice. What do you guys think? So.
And like packaging, how do you even think about packaging at the age of 13? And how long did it take to get it to a point of when you're selling it, you've got it all set up how you want it to look at that age too?
Right. So the first bag of taco seasoning, I should have brought one to have here with me, but it certainly did not look as nice as this. It was a black bag that I got from the local packaging store, a little black pouch, kind of a very similar design to this, but it was a little sticker that I printed at I don't know, my local office supply store that had it was actually the same like that's been the consistent thing in my packaging is a little character of me. And then eventually I just kind of refined it over the years, especially when I started getting into grocery stores. I realized, like when I started really researching like the grocery industry and the market and how like things really have to stand out on the shelves because a grocery store is a really competitive place. So I really needed to make it very attractive to the consumer. So I've had various graphic designers kind of like contribute. I kind of put it all together myself, this final product, but I've had different people kind of pitch in different designs and different ideas. But yeah, I think it was really like everything kind of happened as I went on. So I've had a little black bag, and then eventually when I got into major grocery stores, I realized I had to have barcoding and product testing and all that kind of stuff. So it really just comes as you get to the next stage in business. But no, packaging is something I'm really interested in, really passionate about too. So yeah, I consider myself an amateur graphic designer.
And go back to the ingredients then. Obviously, you mentioned early on that one of the reasons that you started this because of what was already on the market. So
Yeah.
Again, kind of how do you go about making sure that or sourcing ingredients? What's again the kind of process there to make sure that you get great tasting products that are actually
Yeah.
good for you rather than, like you said, full of salt, sugars, preservatives, etc.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really one thing is controlling our own manufacturing as well, is that our products are not just sitting on the shelf for 2 years, like 3 years at a time that we've had in the back. Like they're really like the products that the spice blends that you buy at the local like store were made like a week ago, right? So that's one thing as well. We make sure we use like reputable good suppliers as well. So the spice blends really are, or sorry, the spices themselves really are fresh and they're not old and bland tasting, because that was really my biggest gripe with a lot of spices and spice blends was they were all like dusty tasting for whatever reason, their manufacturing processes and their suppliers. So that's why I really made sure I got that part right.
It's a really interesting point because I think so many people are guilty of having spices and things in their cupboards for years and years and years, and then they don't understand why they're not getting the same sort of flavors as they are maybe when they're out or when they're cooking things from fresh. So understanding that as well, and then thinking about what a use by date also looks like if you're trying to encourage people to use them as fresh as possible.
Well, that's kind of actually, I love that you mentioned that, the sitting in the back of the pantry, because that's kind of one issue I'm also trying to solve with, I guess, the spice blend industry is I don't want people to have these just sitting around. That's why on the front of the packaging, it tells you how to use the product. Because a lot of people, when they see a spice or spice blend, they're like, especially, North American consumers, they're intimidated because they don't really know what to do with it. If you give someone a steak spice, they're like, okay, I can put it on steak, but they're going to be going through it a lot quicker. Once you see that you can actually on the front, you can use it on salmon, you can use it on potatoes, you can use it on everything. And then all of a sudden, your Spyce Girlz spice blends are used in your everyday cooking. And they're not just sitting in the back of the pantry, they're sitting there as a pantry staple, right? That you're using often. So I'm trying to take the guesswork out of using spice blends, making them more friendly and approachable, and just versatile.
And I suppose versatility, right? So is that obviously you're trying to, like you say, make sure that things are versatile. So
Yeah.
again, from your side of things, creating the products, is it simply just a lot of trial and error? Right, I'm going to try this on salmon. I'm going to try this on beef. I'm going to try this on chicken. And you just go through and test until you can say, I'm confident that this is best for this, and this.
Well, it's funny. It's actually a lot of my customers teaching me how to use my own product, which is very interesting. So I
Okay.
started my business selling at farmers markets, right? And I still, while a lot of our business is from retail stores now, I still do a lot of farmers markets because it's a great opportunity. It's fun for me because I love talking to people, but it's also a really good opportunity to talk to people that are buying my product, because I started using, like, this is the seasoning I use for my salmon. Right. I had a customer of mine that came up to me and said, oh, you know what I use it on? I use it on salmon. So we get these repeat customers because we're lucky that we have a really good community, and like, oh, you know what I use this on? Like, that's most of my conversations I have with people at the farmers market. Like, people use my pizzazz seasoning here. They'll mix it into their pizza crust when they're making a pizza. right? Or they'll put it on roasted vegetables. And so a lot of the key uses for these that my spice blends have come from customer suggestion.
How do you even go from farmers markets into supermarkets? You talked about being interested in researching what that looked like and everything, but how did that process move in that way? And was it a bit of a shock as well?
Yeah, well, I think that the first grocery store we got into, so it was kind of it was a subsidiary of a major chain called Loblaws. In Canada, we have Loblaws stores, but there's a independently owned Loblaws as well. So there was one that I guess somebody had given us, the store owner, a package of my taco seasoning, and I got a call. I remember this was my first year in high school, and the store owner, Dave Messine, said, "Hey, like, I was given a package of your taco seasoning from a farmer's market. I think it would be really great on our local section. How about you come by the office and we'll have a talk about putting your product in our store." And I was like, okay, my first retailer negotiation. So I went in and I haggled him a little bit, to give me a bit of a better deal, and that was great. But he's still buying my products. He's super supportive. So then my first, like, really, when this was really a side hustle business for me in high school, I was in like a few local stores, a few butcher shops around town. But then when it really changed was when there's a grocery chain in Ontario called Farm Boy. They're a supermarket chain. They sell more like natural products. I love Farm Boy just as a customer, and I always knew that based on like our customer demographic is like the shoppers there, they look for like it's like a accessible premium, I think. Like which is where our products stand. Like we're a better for you alternative, but we're not like charging you up the wazoo for it. So that's kind of where I always envisioned Farm Boy as like my dream retailer. And I ended up being approached by them on LinkedIn a year ago, actually, exactly. And that was kind of when everything really, really blew up for us. And now we're in discussions with another similar retailer. So that's really exciting for us. So that's kind of how our business changed.
And in terms of that target market, I've got a Canadian colleague based in Toronto, and when I mentioned that we were going to be talking and sort of said that you're in Farm Boys, he said, "Oh yeah, they're again, like you said, a kind of premium store."
Yeah.
So, in terms of that target market, do you have? I suppose obviously we're a barbecue podcast, right? So
Right.
do you kind of target people like barbecuers, or do you target kind of home cooks, or are you quite generalist in the who you target, just people that love cooking, or do you have some specific demographics that you're trying to appeal to?
Definitely home cooks is my target demographic, but I will say barbecuers were my early adopters of the product. There was a local Facebook group called Barbecue Ottawa that promotes my products a lot. So they're actually often giving me ideas on how to use it. So I'll see posts like today using Spyce Girlz Smoke and Habanero barbecue rub on our smoked chicken on the big green egg, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. So I get so happy. That was like the first Facebook group that was really promoting me. So we've got quite a few that are great with it. The people love our products. So no, Barbecue Ottawa has been great to me. So I do consider myself, I am part of the local barbecue community. So I've been to a few events with them, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
Social media is something that's very interesting, and we talk quite a lot about on the podcast, because at very least the barbecue community seems to be very friendly, very helpful, very engaging, which isn't always the case when you talk about social media in general.
Yeah.
You've touched on it then, but how has social media shaped what you're doing? Because we can see how active you are on there and what you're posting. How has that developed on your journey?
Yeah, I think I really love sharing ideas on how to use my spice blends. Like, I think if any of you have checked out our social media at Spyce Girlz Seasonings, you'll see there's a lot of recipe videos. And
yeah.
I think the big thing is just letting your story and your personality shine through into the educating your customers, so they really feel connected to your brand. I think brand storytelling is so important, so that you're not just some faceless, brand kind of thing, that people see who's behind it, who's making the spice blends. Yeah, because feeling connected to a brand story is so important, right? Like if you have a great product, but you actually like the people that are making it too. So that's why I think social media can be such a useful tool to tell your story.
And doing things like recreating a better version of Taco Bell products, or doing things like queso, and also showing your engagement with growing outdoors, and that link to ingredients as well has to be engaging for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, I loved that Taco Bell recreation that I did. That was a lot of fun.
It's amazing. It's such a big brand, but it's only
Yeah.
really in a bigger way come into the UK in the last few years. I mean,
Okay.
I would say like Colchester is probably the closest local city to us, and it's weird calling it a city because it used to be a town. And Owen lives just outside it. But I mean, Taco Bell's only been there for 2 years, 3 years, maybe most.
Yeah.
Whereas it's iconic, right?
That was
I think they're a meh Taco Bell.
I don't know if I should comment on Taco Bell just because I make natural.
I will. I don't mind.
That it's really.
I think
I don't know.
very
if
average.
By saying that. That was the only time I've ever had it. That was my very first time, because when I was growing up, like it was really. I guess that's kind of come into my brand as well, as like all natural, preservative free, like, no garbage kind of thing, was when I was like, I never had fast food growing up. So trying Taco Bell, I was like, oh my God, what is this? I've never had this before. So it was kind of a novelty for me, which was really funny.
But on that point though, surely, well, maybe not. I do it a lot.
Yeah.
Just kind of go, yeah, I think I can make that better myself. And especially when you're creating the flavors yourself, I'm sure there were some things that you tasted when you tried Taco Bell and you go, actually my stuff's more flavorsome.
That's what my mom and I say, that it's always hard for us to go out to restaurants and eat now, especially because restaurants are so expensive. So when we go out and we cook so much at home, especially during COVID, my mom and I, we did a lot of cooking, a lot of barbecuing, a lot of cooking at home. We really got really good at it. So when we go out to eat at restaurants now, it's like, we could really make this better at home and spend half the money. And we have fun cooking too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to barbecue?
Ooh, salmon.
Yeah.
I love barbecue salmon, and I use my steak spice on it too. Like, I'm a fiend for salmon. So that's what I love. One thing it must be done though is temperature control. Like we pull it at 130 to 135, so the salmon has to be like perfectly done.
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't know if that's an unusual answer for a barbecue podcast to say I love barbecue salmon, and then I love my charcoal. We have 2 charcoal barbecues.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Big Green Egg and we have a Weber, and it just, like, the flavor is just impeccable.
Yeah, proper barbecues. This is the way that we put it.
We jokingly talk about gas being a taboo word.
Yeah, because I was worried. I'm like, if I say that like charcoal is the only way to go, am I gonna get like hated on by
no?
Okay,
fan mail. That's what you'll get.
No, it's so true. The flavor is just so there. Like we got into finding like different chips, with different smoking chips we can use. So it's just, I remember us having a lot of fun with that. We love making roasts, but we make them into cold cuts after. So we'll do a roast beef, right? And we'll season with my steak spice or whatever. But because a lot of cold cuts we find in grocery stores are they're way too salty and they have way too many weird ingredients in it, we decided we can make them ourselves and make them so much better. So, we put it on the grill and season with my spices, and we have a meat slicer too. So that's kind of every barbecue person's best friend. I say thermometer and meat slicer, because we use that meat slicer all the time when we're making our own cold cuts. So that's kind of the 2 things I love to do with it.
I'll come back to the meat slicer in a minute because I've got one.
Yeah.
But in terms of the salmon, do you typically cook directly on the grill, or do you perhaps do like a cedar plank and then kind of cook the salmon on the plank, or how would you normally go around cooking it? Straight on the grill. Right
on the grill, yeah. And we use coho salmon. I'm not a big fan of Atlantic salmon, so I use coho, or sometimes I use trout. Tastes similar to salmon, so those are kind of either ones I'll use. But yeah, always right on the grill.
If you've been looking or thinking about an outdoor kitchen, then look no further than AOS Outdoor Kitchens.
They are the South's leading outdoor kitchen design and installation specialists.
Their extensive showroom is based just outside Bournemouth on the Dorset-Hampshire border, and as well as numerous in-store displays, also features a live outdoor kitchen where they cook every week on Kamado grills, pizza ovens, and all filmed and shown on YouTube.
They offer a wealth of knowledge on how to transform your patio into the most incredible outdoor dining area, with styles and options to suit every budget, and you can guarantee they will be able to create something perfectly suited to you and your home.
They stock and supply everything that you're going to need for outdoor cooking, including barbecues, Kamado ovens, pizza ovens, outdoor fridges, and every accessory that you would need to become the ultimate outdoor chef.
So if you want to make yourself the envy of your friends and neighbours, get in touch with them today to arrange a consultation and take the first step in transforming your back garden into the most incredible entertainment space.
Visit aoskitchens.co.uk. Going back to a meat slicer, are you talking about like a proper electric deli slicer that can kind of, they're great for big cuts of meat, aren't they?
They're perfect. Yeah, especially it also saves you having. I mean, you can absolutely cut yourself in a meat slicer. I was about to say safer because you're not using a knife. I'm like, actually, no, you could injure yourself horribly on a meat slicer. So you gotta be careful. But no, it's a fantastic thing. Highly recommend getting one of those. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously cooking some roasts. Obviously, British Sunday roasts. Sunday roast dinner is a very British thing. I noticed that, and that's what I was going to ask you. Actually, what is your typical Sunday roast? What does it include?
Sure. So, I mean, I usually put this on a roast chicken. But what I love about it though is that the drippings that come from the roast chicken, it's seasoned already, like with the spice blend. So I have that, potatoes, carrots. All of this can really be used with, this is for your Sunday roast. Everything in your Sunday roast can be used with this. So it's got the rosemary, it's got some sage, thyme, smoked paprika. I use a little bit of organic cane sugar in here as well. So it gives it that kind of sweetness to balance out those really savory flavors. So this is one of my personal favorite spice blends, honestly. So this one's kind of my pride and joy.
Which are your favorites and why?
Okay.
No, you can only pick one.
I can only pick
one.
I was gonna be nice. I was gonna be like 3 or 4, and then we'll go for your favorite.
One. My favorite. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. I think it kind of changes depending on the season. I'll say, like, depending on what I'm cooking a lot of. So, like in the fall, winter time, I'll definitely say my Sunday dinner is my favorite because I'm making a lot more roast chicken, roast potatoes. Where summertime, I'm using a lot of my Theo the Greek seasoning or my steak spice. So the Theo the Greek seasoning is actually really special because it's inspired by my Greek neighbors. So their dad Theo is always cooking for us. He makes pork souvlaki.
I love souvlaki.
He actually, barbecue lovers, you'll love. He'll take a fire pit in his yard and he'll cook everything on the fire pit, like the souvlaki, the skewers, and the pitas. Like he'll make his own pitas from scratch. He'll put it like right on the fire pretty much. So it's amazing. And then so I just kind of, that's the food that I grew up on. So I wanted something that kind of, pays homage to them. So they use the spice blend now we put it on our French fries because he also makes fantastic French fries. So that's what I've been using all the time lately. It's also a newest spice blend. So that's kind of special place in my heart for this one, for sure.
And where do you get your inspiration? Obviously, I appreciate you mentioned your neighbour there, but generally, obviously you've gone from 1, you're now up to 10, as you said. But
yeah,
where does the inspiration come from? Do you just wake up one morning and go, do you know what? I'm going to do a chili one, or I'm going to make a pizza one. Like how do you go through that thought process?
I think I come from a few different places. I think some is like things that I've used in grocery stores before that I really wanted to see a better version of. So definitely that's where the inspiration from like a barbecue rub came from, because everything was just really, really like salty. And I'm like, there's got to be something better. The taco seasoning, same situation. Others do come from a more special place, like our old Montreal steak spice, for instance. My family is from Montreal. So this is inspired by the flavors of like a Montreal smoked meat. So that's why we have coriander seed in it, because when you get like a Montreal smoked meat, it has like the cracked black pepper and the coriander seed, and it's a really, really special. I grew up on smoked meat sandwiches, right? My mom having them whenever we'd go to visit my grandparents. So I kind of wanted something that was special like that. And also I wanted a better steak spice because a lot of steak spices were just too salty and they didn't have much flavor to it. But yeah, and other ones is just from like whatever we're cooking. Like we got really into making like pizzas on the barbecue actually during COVID. So I came out with a pizza seasoning that I renamed Pizzazz because I was using it on more than just pizzas. So yeah, it comes from a few different places of inspiration, I'll say.
And so I realize this is such an open question, but what's next? You know,
yeah.
what's your plans to? I'm assuming you want to dominate the world
Pretty
one
much.
spice at a time.
One spice at a time. No, absolutely. So right now we're working on scaling across Canada, like via retail. We're also working on building up our online sales as well. But I'd say the next year we're hoping to be like fully across Canada. Year and a half to 2 years, we want to go into the States. And then after that, absolutely, we'd love to take it internationally. I think the market would really, really, we could really use some Spice Girls. So, Spice Girlz
Not the
Seasonings.
band.
No, that's why. No, but I think that's absolutely, I've got big dreams for it. But yeah, we're growing mostly with different retail chains.
Right. And so if people are, should we say, more local to you, they can go into different stores, but
Yeah.
Are you still attending regularly kind of different events, and where can they kind of see you and talk to you about it as well for that personal experience?
Yeah. So local events, we do farmers markets around Ottawa. We do a lot of consumer shows like in Toronto as well. So we'll definitely have a lot during the Christmas season. We'll do like we do like the one of a kind show. If you're in Ontario, you'll know that. We do a lot of online sales as well, so that's kind of, we're working on building it up, but we have quite a few people that order online from us across Canada. So at spicegirlz.com, spice with a Y, girls with a Z. So that's, yeah, if you're not going into a farm boy, then that's kind of where you can find us.
And so many recipes as well. So many recipes. It is like a cookery book and that sort of thing in the future.
What we're trying to create is definitely like an online community of a lot of our recipes that we have on our website that you'll see. Some of them are inspired by things our customers make as well. So I'm always encouraging people to send us recipes that they're using, because we love to get the people involved, to make them feel part of the Spice Girlz brand and the Spice Girlz community. So that's I love inspiring people with new things to use, and they're always inspiring me too. So
you mentioned Christmas, which is getting a lot closer than we realised.
Oh, God, don't remind me. That's totally
well,
I gotta start planning. That's in business. You gotta start planning now for Christmas. So.
Well, I was going to say, surely from a retail point of view, it's Christmas in July, isn't it? Usually, but getting ready for Christmas. But do you? I suppose my question is around seasonality. Do you find that there are kind of peaks and troughs of when you do sort of see more engagement or more sales? You know, it's something like Christmas, to people, you know, buy gift boxes, etc., or is it actually fairly consistent across the year?
I think it's different products have different peaks. Like right now, we have a spiced hot chocolate mix. Like that doesn't really sell too, like it definitely it still sells in the summer, but it really flies during the Christmas season. Like it really goes. Same thing with Sunday dinner seasoning as well. It really sells. We see that high sales velocity definitely in the winter. Summer, people are using naturally a lot more barbecue rub and steak spice. Taco seasonings really year round though. But we do see like a lot of like eating seasons, like definitely like holiday season and summer. You know, spring, everyone's on their cleanse. So, I mean, you can still use our food on any sort of, our spice blends and any sort of diet foods, but that's definitely when we see our people using a lot of our spice blends or during those times.
I don't think I've ever done a spring blends. I just eat more meat. I just eat more meat all the time.
Meat cleanse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blitz it up, put it in a bucket, it's still meat, it's fine.
Going back to barbecue, great to hear you doing a lot of it kind of during the pandemic. I think the great thing about barbecue is also great for mental health and being outdoors more, which is great. But when did you first start barbecuing? Is it something your family has always done and you've naturally gravitated to?
Yeah, well, I remember we had a big green egg growing up, and then my parents got divorced and my dad got the big green egg. So my mom didn't have one, even though she was the one that was mostly grilling, which was funny. So then we ended up getting one. Just before COVID, we got another one. We found one on Facebook Marketplace. We've always had the Weber though, the charcoal Weber. So I think I grew up just having my mom barbecue things often, but we really started experimenting over COVID, like going beyond, I don't know, like burgers and sausages and that kind of stuff. We started getting more creative, doing like, we smoked butter, made smoked cheese, making pizzas on there, doing a bunch of wacky stuff. So that's kind of where we started using it for most of our meals, was on a big green egg, which was kind of crazy.
They're so easy. I think once you've kind of mastered the kind of temperature control on something like a ceramic grill, then they're so easy to use, and actually Weber's are exactly the same, very versatile. I mean, is it a kettle, Weber kettle that you've got, just the kind of the round?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, that was my first barbecue. I've still got it 12 years later. They just last a lifetime. But again, they're really easy to use once you master putting the lid on. It's essentially an oven outdoors, and you get all the flavors from charcoal.
No, we also have a wood-fired pizza oven that we just got, and we also have a Blackstone. So we're really set up. But I think temperature control is definitely the big thing. We're struggling a little bit with it with our pizza oven, the wood-fired pizza oven. It's a little hard to control the temperature, but for the Big Green Egg, we don't have it anymore. It broke, but we were kind of cheating. We had this thing called an Egg Genius. So it was this little thing that you'd attach to the Big Green Egg, and it was an app that we could get on the phone, and we could see. I guess it's not really cheating. You could see the temperature.
It's not cheating.
No. So we did get a notification that like your meat's almost done. Clearly we don't have that anymore, because a few weeks ago, we put I think it was a pork roast on that we were going to slice up for pork sandwiches. And we left the house and we forgot about it. And on the drive back, like, we just looked at each other, like, oh my God, like, it's been all day and the Big Green Egg is still going. So we came back and it was this little, like, sad little nugget. Like, if we had the app, we would have remembered, but that was just not us, though.
Oh no, we're fully fans of bracing in technology. Meat thermometers with apps, meters, or you think Traeger's, they have inbuilt apps. Weber, you can get the iConnect and things. So I absolutely embrace the technology. Yeah, it's about convenience, right? It makes our lives easier. It makes sure that we're not, unfortunately, forgetting about it and then coming back to kind of overdone meat. But so you were saying about your pizza oven. What pizza oven have you gone for, and how are you kind of trying to balance that heat? If you can't quite get it right.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't remember the exact. We got it off Amazon, actually. So it's a stand-up one, right? With a little compartment in the bottom we store our logs in. So it's not like the we didn't go for the uni, like the little teapot one. So it's a fully stand-up wood-fired pizza oven. I think it was a couple $100 on Amazon. So it was a pretty good deal we got for it. I think one thing we're also struggling with is finding the right, like, pizza crust recipe. We haven't fully got one that's worked yet. So we're doing a lot of experimentation with different crusts. So I remember, actually, sorry, this was on the Big Green Egg. We were making a pizza. And this was a while ago. My friend Ada came over and we were making a barbecue pizza. And it turned out horribly because we couldn't get the temperature control right, and it was burnt. And she goes, toppings. We definitely had some more toppings moments with the pizza oven, but I think we're starting to get better with different crusts and kind of managing the temperature. The temperature drops really quickly, I think, is what we're finding. So we have to it's kind of hard to keep it going. But no, it's a great little new gadget that we got, so we're happy.
Playing with fire is also fun.
It is. I was going to say, when going back to dough, so there's a great app I'd recommend that's free. It's called Pizza App, but it's all one word: PIZZAPP.
I'll write this down.
And the great thing about it is you can say if you want like a Neapolitan style base, or if you want like more of a like pan deep dish type of base. And you can go through the amount of dough balls, ball weight. It goes through things like hydration levels, and it'll give you exact amounts of ingredients to put in, and recommends time for how long to room temperature proof. If you're going to cold proof, how long to leave it in the fridge. Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours and everything? And that's been a big game changer for me. I also find that if you can be patient and plan ahead, cold proofing for 24 to 48 hours, just leaving it in the fridge once you've made it, depending on either after you've balled it up or just made the initial dough, there's so much more air in there. So you get a much more, should we say, aggressive rise on the crust. And it's so much easier to roll out and handle as well, compared to kind of just letting it proof for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So those would be my tips for trying and experimenting.
Thank you. I'm excited now because I'm excited to make some more pizzas. Although when we first got the pizza oven, my mom was making so much pizza. I was like, no more. I can't. I need more pizza. No, like and she's like, we're having pizza for lunch. I'm like, please, no. I love fiend for pizza, but at that point I was like, I think I'm ready to jump back on though. I think I've had a break from pizza. I'm ready to start experimenting again.
It's easily
Also,
done,
just
overdoing it completely. I've done it with other foods like chili before as well. Make a batch big cook of chili, and all of a sudden you think, I've had chili like 4 times this week. That can't be good.
No, like it was funny because it was my boyfriend that had pointed out to me. He's like, I've been counting. You've had pizza 5 times in the past 2 days. I'm like, what?
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive. Yeah, crazy.
Actually, pizza ovens in general, though, good for not just cooking pizzas. I would definitely try and experiment with just if you've got like a cast iron dish or even a pan that can withstand a bit of heat, not like a rubber handle or anything. So I've got a couple of wood-fired pizzas, wood-fired ovens, and I cook anything. I'll cook lasagnas, I'll fry eggs, anything, and just use the wood as the heat source. So they're definitely more versatile than just pizza, for sure.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I can do a calzone, but I'm like, that's still kind of pizza because that's what we've been doing on our Big Green Egg is we make everything on it, right? So just having the same versatility with that, so that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Again, it takes a little bit used to in terms of and not just cooking everything at 300 degrees like you would a pizza. You want to, I don't know, if you cook bacon in it or whatever, you don't want to incinerate it very quickly. So it's just about playing with it.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. So I suppose we've kind of talked a bit about the brand. We've talked about the kind of story, the inspiration, and the next plans, and obviously a bit about barbecue as well. And you've got a decent setup there. You've got a Weber pizza oven. You've got Big Green Egg and a Blackstone. We actually interviewed Blackstone a few episodes ago, and I've got a Blackstone myself. Again, really versatile piece of kit. But is there anything else that you would perhaps that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to talk about, whether that's food, spices, barbecue, or anything in between?
Oh my goodness, that's a big question.
It is a big question.
I'd like to talk about. I could talk about food all day. Whether it's, I think I've talked a lot about how I use my spice blends and how I really love to get my customers involved. And the barbecue, all my barbecue gadgets have really been great for helping me with different uses for my spice blends, right? And how to make cool different things. And the barbecue community has been great at for inspiring me as well. So I think just the food community is a great place to be. I'm definitely, very informative, very inspiring, and very supportive. So that's been fantastic.
Actually, I do have one question I've just thought of. Has there been any idea or spice that you wanted to create and you've just tried to make it work and it just hasn't happened? Anything that hasn't made the shelf?
Yeah, I think there was one that I was working on. I was working on a new umami spice blend. It was using salt, pepper, garlic, and porcini mushroom powder. So to get that really like that, see, I don't like MSG. I know some people say it's fine. I'm really not an MSG person, but it gives, and the way the MSG works is it gives you this kind of like umami flavor that you get from like a lot of like Asian food kind of thing. Like porcini mushrooms are really strong in that kind of flavor. So I was thinking I almost wanted to give people that like that addictive like flavor that you get from like that MSG, but obviously without the MSG. So I was thinking of using porcini mushrooms for that. And it was I tried it a lot. I tried to make it work, but porcini, it was really strong. Like the mushroom flavor was so strong that I tried using a different kind of like a gourmet mushroom blend, and it was okay. But I think that one could still work. It was going to be like a multi-purpose versatile blend, but I put that one on the back burner. But I think I'm going to pick that one up again. Although right now we focused more of our efforts on perfecting our ranch seasoning that's going to be coming out at some point, as well as a rotisserie chicken seasoning. So in Quebec, in Canada, we have a lot of like barbecue chicken joints. Any Canadians watching, you'll know Saint Hubert or Swiss Chalet. So it's this wonderful seasoning you get on this roast chicken. We're kind of just trying to figure out the balance of smoked paprika and tomato powder, a little bit of sweetness to kind of get that nice well-rounded flavor that you get in all Spyce Girlz blends. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Just playing with food must be fun. So fun to do day in, day out.
Yeah. I love to eat. I love to cook. So I love being in the food industry. I couldn't, and they're great people too. Whenever I go to different industry trade shows, just talking about food with other business owners, and we'll trade products and try each other's products out. It's a really fun community to be in.
Well, Lily, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. Thanks so much for telling us about your story and the products. Again, just tell people where they can find you.
At www.spycegirlz.com. That's Spice with a Y, girls with a Z. And if you're in Ontario, in Canada, you can find us at any Farm Boy location. And in September, you'll be able to find us in Longo's as well. So Farm Boy and Longo's if you're in Ontario. For the rest of the world, you can shop online at spicegirlz.com.
Thank you so much. It's been great speaking to you.
That's it for another episode of the Meet and Greet Barbecue podcast. Thanks so much to Lily coming on. It was great to hear about her story, about starting a business at such a young age, her passion for cooking, healthy eating, and really enjoyed listening to that story. As ever, we'd love to hear from you. Please do get in touch. Use the fan mail, connect through us, which is in the link in the description. Contact us on social media. Either way, let us know what you want us to talk about. And until next time, keep on grilling. Today's episode is brought to you by AOS Kitchens, the South's leading outdoor kitchen design and installation specialists.